Yes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy, a production of flagandbanner.com. Through storytelling and conversational interviews, this weekly radio show offers listeners first-hand insight in starting and running a business, the ups and downs of risk-taking, and the commonalities of successful people. Connect with Kerry through her candid, often funny, and informative weekly blog, where you'll read and comment on life as wife, mother, daughter, and entrepreneur. And now it's time for Kerry McCoy to get all up in your business.
Thank you, Jason. Like Jason said, I'm Kerry McCoy, and it's time for me to get up in your business. Before we start, I want to introduce my newest co-host, who you just heard from, Jason Malik from Arise Studios in Conway, Arkansas. Say hello, Jason.
Hello.
And we have a newcomer today. Son Gray is joining us for the first time. He's with other son Matt in the studio. Matt broadcasts the Facebook Live. Are we doing Facebook Live, Matthew? Oh, good. I got the thumbs up. We were kind of scurrying around. It's always fun to watch what's going on in this room. And Gray will be live tweeting throughout the show. Daughter Megan is our program director. And the only one that leaves out is their brother and my youngest son, Jack. So I told Jack through a text this morning that I'd give him a shout out if he's listening. Hey, out there, Jack McCoy, who's saving the world. He's getting a PhD in horticulture. He's learning or he's testing, trying to figure out how to, researching how to figure out how to grow food without water, because that is going to be the future. If we don't figure out global warming, we're going to have plants that don't need water. If right now you're sitting at your computer, you might want to watch us live on Facebook's flagandbanner.com's page. It's kind of fun to see what goes on behind the scenes and at the breaks. It's real-time reality radio. If for some reason you miss any part of this show, want to hear it again or share it, there is a way, and Jason is here to tell you how.
Listen to all UIYB past and present interviews by going to flagandbanner.com and clicking on Radio Show. Also, by joining our email list or liking us on Facebook, you'll get a reminder notification that day of the show with a sneak peek of that day's guest. Back to you, Kerry.
This show, Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy, began as a platform for me, a small business owner and a guest, to pay forward our experiential knowledge in a conversational way. Originally, my team and I thought it would speak to entrepreneurs and wannabe entrepreneurs, but it seems to have had a wider audience appeal because, after all, who isn't inspired by everyday people's American-made stories? To see people in their totality is humanizing. We all thirst to connect and make sense of an overcomplicated world, and on this show, we have the luxury of time to go deeper than a mere soundbite or a headline. And, as always, we're learning something. It's no secret that successful people work hard, but other common traits found in many of my guests are the heart of a teacher, belief in a higher power, and creativity, because a successful life or business is usually creative. My guest today, Reverend Susan Sims Smith, is teaching the world love and acceptance for all religions and cultures through her work at the Interfaith Center in Little Rock, Arkansas. Her belief in a higher power has guided her in all aspects of her life, and creative is what she was when in 1999 she reinvented herself and left the comfortable and successful practice as a Jungian-oriented psychotherapist and became an Episcopal priest, co-founding the House of Prayer at St. Margaret's Church in Little Rock, Arkansas. Today, we're going to hear about her extraordinary story. She has prayed with Tibetan monks, resided in India. I think she said something like 15 times she's visited. And I just found out that she's currently working on a project in Mongolia with the Dalai Lamas. What do you call the Dalai Lamas?
The Oracle of Tibet.
The Dalai Lama's Oracle of Tibet. How about that? She is going to explain how we can listen to our soul through our dream work and explain the commonalities of all religions and how they can live together in perfect harmony. Thank you, Sir Paul McCartney, for that quote. Get a pen and paper ready. You may want to take some notes. It is a pleasure to welcome to the table the worldly, reverent, intelligent, and lifelong seeker of truth and happiness, Reverend Susan Sims Smith.
Sounds like I need a Volkswagen van with some happy things painted on the side of it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I know.
You know, the Buddhists have an interesting concept called merit reduction.
Called what?
Merit reduction.
Okay.
And so each day, a devout Buddhist, if they have done something that makes a positive contribution to society, they pray that any merit that might come to them for having succeeded, that gets converted to the energy of prayer for people on the planet who have no one for whom to pray for, have nobody that will pray for them. So they take any merit of their success and transform it and send it out to humans that have nobody praying for them. So any merit from anything that I've done that we might talk about, let's just set the foreground before we get started that energy is going to get transformed and become prayer for people that are isolated or lonely or afraid or ill, and we're gonna send it that way.
So today's interview is a merit what?
Merit reduction interview.
Merit reduction interview.
Merit reduction. Yeah, I don't need to build merit. That's supposed to be bad juju in Buddhism, although I'm Christian. So I don't need to build up any merit. Whatever merit I have, I need to give it away and send it out to people that need it.
Is Buddhism a religion or is it a practice?
It's both. It's definitely a religion, and there are particular practices in the different types of Buddhism that are committed to by the practitioners. So then I want to say one other thing, because we're going to be talking about success, how people become successful. That's one of the things we're going to talk about, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I have a really close friend who's the executive director of the Interfaith Center. Her name is Sophia Saeed, and she's Muslim. And she is a Sufi Muslim, and she's very, very involved in meditation and prayer and interesting spiritual practices. And she teaches me that in Islam, if you have succeeded at something, you thank God for three things. First, you thank God that God asked you to do that service, because God could have asked anybody.
Yeah, for the opportunity.
Right. So the fact that I had the opportunity to help start the House of Prayer and the opportunity to help start the Interfaith Center, the first thing is to thank God for giving me that opportunity. And then the second thing is you thank God that God created you in such a way that you had the capacity to say yes to the opportunity.
The talent.
And that's the third thing, is the talent. But the second thing is God put inside you the willingness to say yes. And then the third thing is the talent and the ability to do it. So when Sophia is talking about a service project that she and I are working on, which we do a lot, we always sit and do those three things. Like, we will just get so excited that we had the opportunity to do this project, that we had the willingness to say yes to it, and that then we had the capacity to pull it off. And then all of that gets converted back to the divine. So it means we're small. I think of myself and Sophia and others that are in the service business, as you are at this moment with this show. I think of us as temporary service delivery units on the planet.
Good quote.
We are temporary, and we are service delivery units. One day this last week, I was doing my meditation, and I saw, an outside water hydrant has like a round thing that you turn to get it to go on. This was a big one. Mm-hmm. And in the silence, I was told to turn that thing. So in my meditation, I turned this huge faucet, outdoor faucet, and I heard, "You are to be a gush of goodness to this earth." And I think that's what we're all supposed to do, to turn on the faucet and open up and let the water of love flow through us to be goodness for this planet. And it's a really fun job. It's ridiculously fun. My husband says, just don't pay these people to let you do this.
Like you are. So how do you hear, when you're in your meditation and you hear that, mm-hmm. How does it come to you?
Well, it doesn't always come. Like this morning, I got up early, and my little 6-month-old grandson has been visiting me, and I heard him while I was doing my quiet, and I didn't hear any little messages from the other side because I had a little earthly angel to go hold. So it's not a guarantee that I'm going to hear anything every day. But I've been involved in meditation. I'm 68. I've been very involved in meditation since I was 29, so I've been at this a long time. And I usually get up really, really early in the morning and have quiet time then, 30 minutes or an hour or longer of meditation. And I have a spiritual teacher in India, a Hindu man, and he asked that before we meditate, that we take 2 showers, that we wear a white cotton outfit, that we wrap ourselves in a white cotton prayer robe, that we crack a window, even if it's 17 degrees below, so that the outside air is a tiny bit in the room. And then I do a prayer process before I start meditating. I go back through everything that happened to me the day before, and I pray through the day. If I had like a mean thought towards somebody or a negative reaction or any reactions of the day before, I kind of clean up the day before I start the meditation. And then I put a tablet and a paper, I put a paper and a pen beside where I'm praying. And then I just go into the silence. And sometimes the silence is with no words. And it's just enough peace and enough fullness to help you navigate the day. But sometimes it's actually a message, ideas that come or thoughts that come. And I can tell you more about that later, because that is how I ended up meeting the Oracle of Tibet, and how the Interfaith Center also got started through a whole bunch of meditation stuff. And, I'm happy to give some specific examples. I can do that now, I can do it later. But that's my personal meditation practice. And sometimes I do it later in the day too, but definitely early in the morning.
Do you take 2 showers every morning?
I do.
That's why she looks so good.
Now, I look so good because my husband that I've been with since we were 16 and 17, and I adore each other. That's why I look this way. There's a lot of love going between these 2 people.
You both were practicing a psychiatrist?
My husband's a psychiatrist, yeah. He's the chairman of the Department of Psychiatry at the medical school and the institute director. So he's leading, the psychiatric program at UAMS. But we've been together since we were kids.
And you were a psychologist?
I was a psychiatric social worker in private practice for 25 years, and happy. I didn't have a boss, and when you become a priest, you have a boss.
Is that God, or is that somebody? Or
that is the bishop.
Bishop. Okay, is that a real guy? Is that a real boss? Okay.
I had this beautiful psychotherapy office. I made a really good living. I had complete autonomy and total independence. But through a series of about 2 years worth of dreams, I was called into the priesthood. I was not sitting around thinking about becoming a priest, but that happened through about 2 years worth of dreams. And finally, the dreams got so specific and so clear, I would have had to have an IQ of 27 to not understand that God was like, we're like redeploying you, lady. You're going to be moving.
Tell us actually, we're going to take a break. It's time to take a break. When we come back, I want you to tell our listeners how those dreams came about. We're going to talk about dream study.
Okay.
And then in the second group, we're going to talk about this interfaith work that you're doing.
Okay.
So we're going to continue our conversation with the Reverend Susan Sims Smith, founder of the Arkansas House of Prayer and the Interfaith Center at St. Margaret's Church in Little Rock, Arkansas. I thought she had an event coming up for the Interfaith House of Prayer, but actually you have an event for the Interfaith Center, but actually you have an event coming up for the House of Prayer. So we'll give you information about that when we get back. We'll be right back after the break.
Boost morale and patriotism with a new flag or flagpole from Arkansas's flagandbanner.com. We have poles, hardware, accessories, maintenance support, installation, and custom flags. We have flags of all kinds. For the sports enthusiast, the world traveler, or history buff, we have them all. Bring in your old flag and get $5 off a new one. Consult the experts at Arkansas's flagandbanner.com. Come shop our historic location at 800 West 9th Street in Little Rock, or visit us online at flagandbanner.com.
You're listening to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy, a production of flagandbanner.com. Over 40 years ago, with only $400, Kerry founded Arkansas Flag and Banner. During the last 4 decades, the business has grown and changed, starting with door-to-door sales, then telemarketing, to mail order and catalog sales. And now, a third of their sales comes through the internet. This past year, Flag and Banner added another internet feature, live chatting. Over time, Kerry's business and leadership knowledge grew. As early as 2004, she began sharing this knowledge in her weekly blog. In 2009, she founded the nonprofit Friends of Dreamland Ballroom, and in 2014, Brave Magazine. Today, she has branched out onto the radio with this very production, podcast, and live stream on Facebook. Each week on this show, you will hear candid conversations between her and her guest about real-world experiences on a variety of businesses and topics that we hope you'll find interesting and inspiring. If you'd like to ask Kerry a question or share your story, send her an email to questions@upinyourbusiness.org. That's questions@upinyourbusiness.org. Or send her a message on flagandbanner.com's Facebook page. Back to you, Kerry.
You're listening to Up in Your Business with me, Kerry McCoy, and I'm speaking today with the Reverend Susan Sims Smith, co-founder of the Arkansas House of Prayer and the Interfaith Center at St. Margaret's Episcopal Church in Little Rock, Arkansas. Before the break, we talked about how you pray thanking God when you've had a great day. We talked about merit reduction, what the show actually is about today. It's all about the good news that we're paying forward for all of those other people that don't have anybody praying for them. This show is really about the merits that we're sending forward to them for good
their benefit.
For their benefit. Thank you, Susan. I went on your website. We're going to talk about dreams before we start talking about the Interfaith Center and the different types of religions, because what you're doing around the world is fascinating. And I'm just going to tell our listeners, if they missed it in the beginning, you are currently working on a project in Mongolia with the Dalai Lama's oracle.
That's right.
That's just bizarre. I don't think that's a sentence I say all the time. So we're going to talk about that before in a little while too. But first, I went to your website. If you want to go online and learn about Susan Sims Smith, there's a lot of stuff online. She's got her very own website, just susansimsmith.com. And one of the tabs across the top is dreams. And I clicked on it and it said, dreams are God's forgotten language. Dreams communicate the needs of the soul as participants prayerfully seek God's guidance to live their lives. The rich spiritual discipline of understanding dreams and seeking to live in harmony with the messages they bring can enrich lives with comfort, challenge, that's what you had, and practical solutions to problems of their daily life. Talk to us about dreams, why they are important, and how that dream got you to be a priest.
Well, dreams are really, really exciting, and there are different types of dreams. So one type of dream is giving us information about things that were going on that day. And sometimes dreams confront us. Let's say I've been to a dinner party and I talked too much and did not share the conversation and didn't really express interest in other people. I might go to bed that night and have a dream about a vampire. So that would be that every part of the dream is part of us. Do I usually act like a vampire? No, that's not normal for me. But I could have been off center one day, and I could have been sort of selfish in the conversation. And if so, I'm going to get confronted about it that night. So every part of the dream can be looked at as a symbolic part of the self. That's about 80 to 90% of the dreams are that.
So you're talking about archetypes within ourselves.
Right. Parts of the self. So if I'm being too hard on myself, see, in that dream, I wouldn't be being tough enough on myself because I would be unconscious that I was stealing too much of the conversation. So I have a dream about a vampire. Let's say I'm being too hard on myself. I might have a dream about this wonderful beach bum that's doing nothing but having a delicious mimosa by the edge of the ocean if I need to lighten up on myself. So the dreams are seeking to rebalance our energies. Sometimes we have have dreams that are very, very spiritual dreams, and sometimes we have dreams that are direct guidance and direct information. So I spent 7 years studying dreams with a world-famous analyst in Toronto, Marion Woodman, and I commuted to Canada for 7 years and did a twice-a-week dream thing with her by phone. So the great majority of dreams have to do with your interior world, but occasionally the divine will come through and give you a specific message in a dream that is not about your personality or your psyche. So an example of that would be, before I went to India the first time, I was dreaming at night the word Pondicherry. And usually my training is that all the dreams are symbolic. So I kept thinking, what is Pondicherry? Eventually I Googled it, and it's a town in India. And then the next night I dreamt, go, or forever hold back your choir of angels and your joy. And I thought, oh my gosh, the universe is sending me to India. Why would I go to Pondicherry, India? So I started Googling that, and I found that there's a very famous ashram there, and two spiritual teachers, Sri Aurobindo and the mother. And although they have passed away, their followers are there. So I got on it. I made a reservation in this ashram. I got on an airplane. I went to India. I spent 2 weeks in this ashram. I studied all this incredible material that changed my life as a Christian priest. And then I'd been home about 3 months. I'd fallen in love with Pondicherry. I'd made friends. About 3 months later, I began to dream Mysore, India, ashram. I had heard Mysore, and I Googled it, and what came up was a photo of a 76-year-old man who's a spiritual teacher in Mysore. And I said to my husband, I have no idea who this dude is, but look at his picture. He is full of the truth and of love. And that night, I started dreaming, run to the big guy as fast as you can get there. And so I got another plane ticket. I went to that ashram, and I have a relationship now, a lifelong relationship. And in my opinion, even past this life, in my next life relationship. So this is a Hindu spiritual teacher who believes that if you're born into Christianity, you stay as a Christian. If you're born as a Buddhist, you stay as a Buddhist, you don't convert. But he's teaching me spiritual practices that deepen my ability to find the love of Christ in my own life. So I work with him. He's come to Arkansas before. I go to visit him. So all that material came in dreams. The first really big life-changing dream that I had was about 27 years ago. I started dreaming that I was living by a river with big clay bluffs. And all of my psychotherapy training is to interpret that metaphorically. The river is like the water of the unconscious. The bluffs are like close to nature. I continue to dream the same thing. And then I dreamt the downstairs floor plan of a house, and I showed it to this realtor. We were trying to buy another house, and she said, you're not going to live in that house unless you build it. And I wanted to live near Hillcrest, so I thought, well, I can't build a house in Hillcrest. Anyway, eventually, I dreamt that there was a subdivision off Riverfront Drive, and I said to my husband, is there a subdivision off Riverfront Drive? And he said, yes. So we went down there, and I stood on an empty lot looking at the exact view that I'd been dreaming for 2 months. And we ended up building a house that has really changed our lives and been a huge blessing. And we did it with the floor plan that came in my dreams. And then I was told, your experience in building this house is going to be a permanent reference point between you and God, because you didn't believe you could build that house. You didn't understand it in the beginning. And now every time God starts to give you some really far out, bizarre idea that you need to go do X or Y, you're going to remember what happened with you in that house. So that is what started to happen with me with the priesthood, as I was doing more and more dream work with people in my private practice. And when you listen to people's dreams all day, it's like having your finger on the pulse of their soul. It's like cheating as a psychotherapist. It's like having an MRI. It makes therapy so easy because you can see exactly how the divine is guiding that person. And so I was deeply involved in kind of spiritual and psychotherapy stuff, and I started dreaming at night again and again that a dog sometimes is a symbol for the priesthood, because a sheepdog guides the flock. near the shepherd. So Christ for me is the shepherd. And the sheepdog is the one that tries to keep the sheep near Christ. I kept dreaming a million times about the sheepdog. And then I would dream about a chalice. And then finally a client showed up in a dream and said, "You're leaving your psychotherapy office." And I said, "No, I'm not." And she said, "Yes, you are. You just don't know it yet." And I would dream about seminary. Eventually a bunch of junior high guys with M16s showed up in my dreams saying, "We're going to take these M16s and chase you out of your office. You got to get out of here." So eventually the last dream that I had when I finally called my husband and said, "You know what, I think I'm going to have to go to seminary," is my husband's grandmother that I adored showed up in my dream. She said, "You have three choices. You can stay home and be a doctor's wife. You can take this trunk and travel the world, or you can take this little silver plate. In Christianity, it's called a paten, and you can serve the bread of Christ to people." And I say in the dream, I want that paten. I want to serve God's love to people. And I woke up thinking, gosh, I guess I'm going to have a new job here.
You fought it, though, didn't you?
No. I mean, I didn't want a boss, and I didn't want a cut and paycheck, and I didn't want to leave my gorgeous office, and I was happy and doing a good job.
How old were you when that happened?
Well, it was 20 years ago, so I was 48.
That's a weird time to be changing careers.
It's a weird time to be changing careers, but it's turned out to be a wonderful thing. And so after I'd been in the priesthood for maybe 6 or 7 years, I saw a photograph on the cover of a magazine of a round meditation room. And I said to my husband, Little Rock needs something like that. And then I couldn't sleep for 2 nights at all. I was just like, we got to have this. And Rick said, well, you know, if you had the money to build it, where would you put it? I said, well, there's 5 acres of land next to St. Margaret's. He said, you can't just do something at St. Margaret's. You have to get the bishop's permission. You have to get St. Margaret's permission, blah, blah. Anyway, a group of people came together and helped me raise $1.3 million to build and endow an interfaith meditation center. Now, it took years for us to raise the money, and a lot of people worked on it, but we now we have about 160 or 180 people a month that go out there for silence. And this is our 11th year of operation. And next Saturday, there's going to be a workshop that Sister Deborah Trolette will teach on learning how to meditate. So if you go to the Arkansas House of Prayer website, you can find out about it. It's free. So we do programs all year about teaching people about silence. We teach children about meditation. We teach teenagers. We teach atheists, agnostics, people of every religion. So it's a place for everybody.
It's a safe place.
It's a safe place. So that program is just going along really, really well. And on one of these trips to India, I was up in the Himalayas. I was studying at a Buddhist monastery, and I was awakened in the middle of the night, and I heard a little voice that said, wake up and your whole life is going to change. This was 7 years ago. And my first thought was, oh, my poor husband, oh, my Lord. Like, you know, she wakes up and what did she dream last night? Oh, we're going to move to Arizona and raise llamas. He's like, ah. So I'm thinking, this is not going to be good. And so I get up and I hear, get up and pray. And it's 3:30 in the morning. It's dark. It's cold. It's sleeting outside. My room is not warm. But anyway, I get up, put on all the clothes I have. I do my meditation. And deeply into it, this is not a split second. This is not something that just happens immediately. This is a long siege of praying. I hear evil has gone into all the world's religions, and it's teaching them to hate and fear each other.
Boy, that's
evil
true.
has gone, it's teaching the religions to hate each other. We need you to start an Interfaith Center to reduce the hatred and fear among the religions. Go talk to Chris Keller, who's a priest, who's a buddy of mine. And I'm thinking, what? Another project?
Yeah.
And then I just keep doing the prayers, and this same little voice says, what were you planning to do with the rest of your life anyway? I was thinking, well, like maybe retire or read a book. And I knew a little bit about interfaith work, but not a lot. But the message was so clear. We are asking, this is work that needs to be done. So I come out to Little Rock, I meet with Chris Keller. He says, I'm running this project for the church. It has 4 goals, and the last one is interfaith, which I did not know. And he said, if you will start something for interfaith, I said, Chris, if you'll help me find enough money for a part-time secretary, I will do it. And he and Julie said, let's get started. So then I got a part-time secretary, Sarah Catherine Gutierrez, and we started researching what's being done in interfaith work, reading about it, and we started doing projects. The first thing we did is we had a thing called Let's Pray, and we had a Muslim, Buddhist, Jew, and Christian teach about meditation. Then we started having, Sophia Said and I started doing a thing called Muslim Christian Dialogue. And we would go to the mosque, we would go to the synagogue, we would go to Christian churches. We would talk about what does Christianity have to say about violence, about women, about different issues. And now this thing has evolved. We have Sophia Said we now have a full-time director. So this is the second nonprofit that has just taken off. And I'm now in the background. I'm kind of an advisor, a consultant, but Sophia Said is really running this thing. We have a thing called Friendship Camp. We have 53 children from all the world's religions that do a week camp every summer. We already have parents calling us. We can't take any more kids.
I love that.
We already have parents. So one day they study Christianity, and this last year they did a Christmas pageant, and we had Jewish, Buddhist, Hindu kids fighting over who's going to get to be Mary and Joseph and the baby Jesus. They do it in costume. Mm-hmm. And another day they studied Judaism. Another day, but they enact some kind of celebration. Every day they do something for poor people. Every day they sing. Every day they do drumming. Every day they do stuff outside. And every day they go study theology of their own faith tradition and come back and teach it to the other kids. It's an unbelievable thing. We have a multi-faith youth group. We have a teenage group they meet twice a month. Once they help poor people a month. Once they talk about their own theology and how they can understand each other's religions. They eat pizza together, help poor people, and talk theology.
You're changing the world.
Well, Sophia is doing a lot of it. I mean, I'm at this season, I'm in the background.
Thank goodness you listen to your prayers. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with the Reverend Susan Sims Smith, co-founder of the Arkansas House of Prayer and the Interfaith Center at St. Margaret's Episcopal Church in Little Rock, Arkansas. We'll talk more about how you can go to next week's, what's next week's House of Prayer?
It's an introduction to meditation at the Arkansas House of Prayer, and it's taught by Sister.
Is it full?
It's not full.
It's free.
It's free.
And it's a safe place. We're going to also talk some more about Sister Susan's spiritual experiences as she travels the world studying other religions. She is fascinating. And if you're a couple in need of a little guidance, in our last segment, if we get a chance, we're going to give you tips and resources for helping your marriage or your relationship grow. We'll be back right after this.
Boost morale and patriotism with a new flag or flagpole from Arkansas's flagandbanner.com. We have poles, hardware, accessories, maintenance support, installation, and custom flags. We have flags of all kinds for the sports enthusiast, the world traveler, or history buff. We have them all. Bring in your old flag and get $5 off a new one. Consult the experts at Arkansas's flagandbanner.com. Come shop our historic location at 800 West 9th Street in Little Rock, or visit us online at flagandbanner.com.
Flag and Banner is proud to underwrite Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy, where listeners are offered firsthand insight into the humanity and commonalities of successful people shared in a conversational interview with Kerry. Along with this radio show, flagandbanner.com publishes a free biannual magazine called Brave. First published in October 2014, Brave magazine harnesses the power of storytelling and human empowerment. The Department of Arkansas Heritage recognized Brave magazine's documentation of American life and microfishes all editions for the Arkansas State Archives. Subscribe to this free periodical by going to flagandbanner.com and selecting Magazine. Back to you, Kerry.
You're listening to Up in Your Business with me, Kerry McCoy, and I'm speaking today with the Reverend Susan Sims Smith, co-founder of the Arkansas House of Prayer and the Interfaith Center at St. Margaret's Episcopal Church in Little Rock, Arkansas. If you've got a question, you can make a comment on flagandbanner.com's Facebook page, or you can write this number down and call
501-433-0088.
Give it again, Jason.
501-433-0088.
And if you're shy, you may simply send me an email at questions questions at upinyourbusiness.org, or you can make a comment on my weekly blog. I'm easy to get in touch with. Before the break, we were talking about prayer work and the different types of prayers, and how Susan has followed her prayers and is a serious meditator. And then we also talked about her interfaith work and how they've all come and how she left a practice as a psychotherapist to become a Episcopal priest, and now she's continuing to do her soul searching and has started the Arkansas House of Prayer and the Interfaith Center, and we're going to continue talking about that. So there are three types. So if people want to listen to their dreams, which there is the one where we're the archetype in the dream, and that's 80% of our dreams are us being the archetype in our dream. And you go in and you look at it as that person in the dream is you. Yeah. And what is that person trying to say? Yeah. Then there's the ones you get from the divine or from the universe.
Some direct messages.
What's the third one?
Mm-hmm. There's another kind of dream that's sort of debris of the day dream. Let's say I'm driving an old red Volvo and I've got my kid and a dog in it, and I'm in a hurry to go to the grocery, and I hear this kind of little weird noise. I think, it's probably nothing. And I don't really want to pay attention to it. I might have a dream that night that something's off about my car. So I've picked up some little piece of data in the daytime about everyday life that I haven't wanted to pay attention to. So it can debris of the day, different parts of the self, and the others are just more kind of direct, straighter messages. And sometimes one dream can be all of it.
Oh, really? Do you keep a piece of paper by your bed, and the minute you wake up, you write it down?
Yeah, that's the easiest thing. I keep a dream journal. Yeah.
Do you ever go back and read your past dreams?
Oh, every January I read all the dreams of the year. I've done that once already this year, and I'm going to do it again in a couple of weeks. Yes,
what do you find out about that?
You kind of see the themes that your soul and the divine are working on over a year. They're working on certain themes all year.
The amount of dedication and work you put into knowing yourself is astounding.
It's fun. It's a recreational activity. My husband used to say when I was in private practice that all my hobbies were tax deductible.
I don't understand that.
Well, why? I would go to this workshop and that workshop and this class and that class, and then whatever I was interested in, there you
You're a psychiatrist.
Keep writing it off.
Interested in it.
That's true.
Do you want to hear something about the Oracle of Tibet?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I have a good friend who's a Buddhist monk who runs a really unusual orphanage. Sometimes he comes to Arkansas once a year. He's in India. So when he comes sometime, we'll get him on the show. But anyway,
that'd be fun.
I was with him on one of these trips to India, and he said, how would you like to meet the Oracle of Tibet? I didn't know who the Oracle of Tibet was. And I said, okay, yeah, whatever, let's do it. So this monk is a friend of the Oracle of Tibet. So the Dalai Lama has had an oracle give him advice since he was 19. And the oracle goes into a trance and dances and prays and meditates. And the Dalai Lama sits there and asks him questions, and it gets written down. And in the Dalai Lama's autobiography, he says, people ask me, why do I still use this ancient, unusual divination practice? And his answer is, because since I was 19, the oracle has never steered me wrong, period, ever, about anything. So that's who this man is. He's the Dalai Lama's oracle. And he has his own monastery in Dharamsala, India. Here's the Dalai Lama's monastery at the top of the mountain. At the bottom of the mountain, the oracle has a monastery. 56 monks live there, and their only task is that they pray and chant for the protection of the world. They're protection mantra chanters. That's their business. They're in the protecting the world business. Okay, so I was in Dharamsala. I was there with this buddy of mine. He says, let's go meet the oracle. I had 2 other girlfriends with me. So we go meet with this incredible man. And after we talked to him for quite a while, I thought, well, I have my iPad with me. I bet he would like to see a picture of the House of Prayer. So I pull it out, and he looks at it, and he says to his assistant, go in the next room and get the drawings. And the assistant goes in the next room and brings out a gigantic roll of the most gorgeous architectural drawings. And he says, Spirit told him, I'm supposed to build a round meditation center for all the religions in Mongolia. And he showed it with the exact same mission statement as the Arkansas House of Prayer. And I'm going, da-da-da-da-da. And for some unknown reason, I say to this very high-level man, when you get ready to do that project, if there's anything I could do to help you, I would be happy to. And I remember thinking, what in the world could I do to help this man? But anyway, I didn't think anything of it. About 2 or 3 years later, I was at home with a broken bone, and I couldn't run around and do all the stuff I usually do. So I used that time for a lot of quiet. And during all that meditation time, I kept seeing this man. His name is Kutanlaw. And I kept seeing his architectural drawings, and I kept feeling like Spirit was just hammering on me to go back to him and offer to help him. So I thought, that is so ridiculous. But I've had other ridiculous things happen. So I got a buddy, and we crafted an invitation. We invited him to come to Arkansas and visit the House of Prayer and see if there's anything I could do to help him. So 4 or 5 months later, he came and he brought 8 Tibetan monks. They did some programs for the Interfaith Center. He spent a lot of time in the House of Prayer, and I had meetings with him. And he said, Spirit has told me to build this building, but I've got so many projects. And he said, you're standing behind me, tapping me on the shoulder, reminding me I need to do this. And I said, how can I help? He said, you can come to Mongolia next summer and meet the Mongolian people and let them meet you and tell them what all of you have done in Arkansas, and see if you can help me build interest for what we're trying to do. So the following summer, my husband and I and a photographer went to Mongolia for Kutanlaw's 60th birthday celebration, and I met with the leaders there. Now, the thing that's interesting about Mongolia is in the early 1900s, Stalin killed all the people that were of any religion in Mongolia, got murdered. And then the Chinese communists kept it up until 1991. So the people that I met all have family members that have been murdered for having any religion. So if you had a cross, you hid it under you or you were going to get murdered. So it's only been a democracy since 1991. It's one of the world's fastest growing democracies. And part of the way it can stay a democracy is to have freedom of religion, so that the people can worship if they want to worship and don't have to if they don't have to. So anything that's done that strengthens their opportunity for faith. So since it's so new to be able to practice your religion, there's almost nothing going on interfaith. Everybody is just barely getting a chance to pray their own prayers. But Kutanlaw, the oracle, was told that he's supposed to build an interfaith center for silence. So he said, this Buddhist woman is the leader in Mongolia, and if anything is going to happen here, it has to happen through her. So I ended up getting to have a lot of time with this amazing, amazing woman who is going to help open the doors. And so now Kutanlaw has bought the land. The land has been purchased. And in 2019, this year, 2 of his monks and I have been commissioned to do the development materials to raise the money to build the building. So I will be working on that this year, and I will go back to India and meet with him. I will probably go back to Mongolia. And then in 2020, he's going to come to the United States for about a month, and I will travel with him part of that time, and I'll tell what's happened in Arkansas, and we will see if we can find donors that will help build the building in Mongolia.
So you brought the oracle to the Dalai Lama to Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah, I did. But, Spirit did it, and merit reduction, I mean, let the good of that go back to people that need blessings. But that came out of a broken bone and a lot of time sitting in quiet and praying. So it's fun to listen to all this stuff.
Speaking of different religions, I Googled it up before I came on, and Christianity is 2 billion people, a little over 2 billion. Islam, I guess that's Muslim, right? It's a little over 1 billion. Hinduism, not sure what that is.
I don't know the number.
It's 1 billion. I'm not sure what that religion is.
I can tell about it a little bit.
And then the others are all millions. There's the Chinese, the Buddhism, the African, the indigenous,
Judaism.
Oh, yeah, Judaism. So I thought it was interesting that that when I read the numbers of the people that are religious and in their sect, and then I thought about how many people were on the earth. There are 7 billion people on the earth.
Yeah.
And 5 billion of them identify themselves in a religious.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we know so little. Like when I first started the Interfaith Center, I did not know very much about Islam. And I was going to be teaching a class on an experience that I'd had in meditation with Christ. And my Muslim friend, Sophia Saeed, said, I would really like to come. And I said, Sophia, I hate for you to come because I don't think I'm going to feel very free to talk about Jesus. And I just don't want to step on your toes and blah, blah. And she said, why do you think that I don't love Jesus? And I said, well, you're Muslim. And she said, we absolutely adore him. And we teach our children that he will come back someday to save the planet. And that when if our children are alive when he comes back, they are to leave everything they're doing and go to Jerusalem. Immediately I said, what? Why did nobody tell me this about Islam? So we have a lot of ignorance between our religions of who believes what and who's against which person. And so the terrorists that we have are not really Muslims. They're violent, renegade people that are co-opting words out of Islam to do the bad stuff they want to do. But if you meet a real Muslim like Sophia, who is filled with love and who has a tender love for Christ and a big heart for humanity. So in the interfaith work, a lot of what we do is understand our misconceptions of each other.
Mm-hmm. And there's Christians exactly like that too,
exactly.
that are renegades that
Absolutely.
use. I think the KKK was a Christian-based.
Yes, and we have Christians in Uganda that want to kill gay people, that believe that that's the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Christians in the Crusades murdered all kinds of people all over Europe. So we have people in every religion that use the language of the religion for purposes of violence. And that's not the heart of any of those religions.
I want to tell everybody that you're listening to Up in Your Business with me, Kerry McCoy, and that I'm speaking today with the Reverend Susan Sims Smith, co-founder of the Arkansas House of Prayer and the Interfaith Center at St. Margaret's Episcopal Church in Little Rock, Arkansas. I want to make sure before the end of the show that we talk about the Christian principles that help to strengthen a marriage, such as unconditional love, forgiveness, and the sacramental nature of marriage in itself. I told everybody that we would talk a little bit about how to strengthen your marriage and that we would give them resources to do that. You said your marriage is great?
Well, we put a lot of work in it.
Tell us how you did it.
Well, we say, how do you stay married to the same person forever? Oh, it's easy. All you have to do is renegotiate everything forever. So whatever agreements
you hear that, Jason?
Whatever agreements you made, life changes, you change, we mature, we grow, things happen. As long as you're willing to, we tease and say we've had 3 or 4 divorces. We've just remarried the same person. We haven't had any legal divorces, but we've had several marriages that we needed to totally revamp. So it's a process, it's a journey, and there's still no guarantees. So if we have needed couples therapy, we have gone to somebody. We've gone out of state to study our own marriage with Hal and Sidra Stone on the West Coast. We've brought couples people here. Was that
the focus of your practice when you were in practice?
I did half of my time doing couples therapy. So communication is part of it, being willing to get therapy if you need it, that's part of it. Listening to each other, forgiving each other, confronting yourself. Like, I don't really think that I'm a very crabby person, but I bet you Rick can see me being crabby at times. And I bet if I'm unaware that I'm being crabby, then I'm probably being self-righteous instead of crabby. And I could have a dream about that would show me you're actually being pretty ornery and you don't even know it. So one of my sub-personalities that gets overly organized, Rick calls her Tilda Smithwick.
Oh, he's named her.
Yes.
Thank you, Tilda.
She's kind of a jerk. And so if Tilda is out, she's trying to get everything organized because she's busy. So you laugh, you tease, you talk, and Rick and I work on our nighttime dreams together 2 or 3 mornings a week. I'll say, did you have a dream? Did you have a dream? We try to listen to what's going on in the unconscious. So you know that there's a wonderful woman here named Dr. Chelsea Wakefield, who's the director of the new Couples Center at the Psychiatric Research Institute. She's written some great books. She's doing incredible couples therapy, and she is training couples therapists around the state to do better and better work. So we now have like a world-class couples program.
Let me see what this caller is.
Caller, you're on the air?
Have we lost him?
Caller, you're on the air?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to sort of thank your guest for this non-secular religious project. Just about any small town you can go to in Arkansas, you'll find a First Baptist church, and then on down the road you'll find a Second Baptist church, and many times that's because there was some sort of disagreement with the people in the church. They went off and started another church. So in a certain particular faith, a lot of times there's disagreements. I remember after graduating from college, my office mate, he graduated from college, both scientific fields, and he was a Baptist, and he told me if I didn't believe a certain way that I was going to hell. And I said, well, what about the billions of Islams and Hindus and Buddhists around the world? Many of them have never had the opportunity. Are they going to go to hell also? Well, that question was never posed to him, but he said, well, from what I've been, my religion tells me yes. So I just think there should be a lot more effort within all the religions to maybe not criticize each other's religion for what they believe, and within certain faiths themselves, like I mentioned on the Baptist, and just grasp the concept. The Ten Commandments are similar in mantras in other religions, and let the small little details fall by the wayside.
That is great. Thanks, caller. Thanks for calling in. That's a great point. Thank you. I'm glad he called. So you were going to say we could also go to for couples therapy. Well, let's talk about all the different ways that people can learn from the three different things we talked about today. The first part we talked about was dream work, which I think is fascinating. And I wrote down a few books that they could use there. And you can get this at flagandbanner.com, or you can go to SusanSimsmith's.com's website. There's a book called Dreams, God's Forgotten Language. I saw that on your website. There's one called Memory, Dreams, and Reflections. There's one called Inner Work, and then all the books by Marion Woodman. Mm-hmm. You recommend all of those for learning how to do
They're just wonderful resources. Also, I'm pretty sure this is on my website. There are 56 lectures from a series of dream conferences at Canuga, and they're all on dreams. I did a bunch of them. They're free, and they should be on my website.
Oh, good.
56 audio lectures about listening to God through your dreams, done by a whole bunch of different people.
That sounds
so
wonderful.
They should be on the website and those books.
That's wonderful.
And then go to the House of Prayer and learn how to meditate.
Which is coming up next Saturday.
It's coming up next Saturday, and we do programs off and on all year about how to meditate. We have a new labyrinth. We're going to do a program on meditating by walking in the spring. And then go to the Interfaith Center website, get on our email list. We do programs all year. The end of the year letter for the Interfaith Center should be on that website. And when you look and see what Sophia and the volunteers have done in the last year, it's kind of mind-blowing.
Great, and then you got
the
workshops,
center.
and then you got a workshop for the kids for the Interfaith Center too.
Right.
That's full, but maybe you'll have to do another one. And then the Couple Center at UAMS.
And the Couple Center at UAMS.
And for the Couple Center, we have some great books that were on your big book list. One of them is by the Dr. Chelsea Wakefield, who's been on this show, who's at UAMS, and it's called In Search of Aphrodite. I've actually read that. It's great. There's one called Embracing Each Other by Dr. Hal and Sidra Stone, Partnering by them also, and The 7 Principles of Making a Marriage Work. So all of that also is on, I think, your website's where I got those from. And we'll have it at flagandbanner.com. I have a gift for you. Where'd I put it? Anybody see it?
It's been fun to be with you all.
Thank you, Susan. Mm-hmm. Oh, there it is. Everybody on Facebook, look! It's it's a flag for the people that aren't on Facebook watching.
I love it! It's really wonderful.
It's a desk set with all the different countries that you
love
visit
it.
and where you go and
Thank you
religion.
so
You're
much.
welcome. And I
This
left
is
it. And the base has got a few extra holes so that when you keep travel, we can put some more flags in there as you
Thank
go.
you so much. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much for
thank
coming
you.
on.
I love the opportunity.
You know, it really is just like I said in the E-Blast I sent out. When she speaks, she's like E.F. Hutton. When she speaks, people listen. They really do.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and for all the volunteers that make every project I'm involved in is just infused with love by a lot of hardworking people.
That's because of you.
Well, that's because of the spirit that's behind me messing with me.
Thank you, Spirit, for messing
Thank you,
with
Spirit.
her.
That's it.
Jason, who's my guest next week?
We're doing a phone call?
It's Hoops Green
Hoop Screen is
from the Globetrotters.
right, number 6 from the Globetrotters.
She's number 6. They're going to be here on Saturday, a week from tomorrow, but they couldn't do an interview with me on Friday, so we're going to have a recorded interview. I'm going to do a recorded interview with them on Tuesday, so we'll be playing the recording on the next show on Friday show.
2 p.m.
She's the 15th female to be on the
Wow.
I know, good for her. I didn't know this, but I've been researching the Globetrotters to get ready. It is a fascinating story. Matthew, you'll love this. The Globetrotters were founded in the 1920s as the Savoy Big Five on the south side of Chicago. They were named because they played half court in the African American Savoy Ballroom before the dances. Just like Dreamland.
Dreamland Ballroom.
Yeah, the Dreamland Ballroom. We have pictures of the Dreamland Ballroom being a
Remember
half
that.
court and having basketball up there. So
basketball
I guess
hoops.
that was a thing.
Yeah.
So I'm learning about the Harlem Globetrotters. They moved. They got in a fight. The Savoy. What are they called? The Savoy Big Five. They got in an argument. They started in the early 20s. They got in an argument by the late 20s, broke up, and became the Globetrotters. Isn't that just the way it is? Then they moved to New York and became the Harlem Globetrotters. But I just thought they got mad at each other over something.
It's like starting a new band.
There you go.
All right. Let's see. I just want to thank you again for being here with us. And where's my last page over at today's? Is there anything else I'm leaving out?
Your contact information? Want to run through that real quick?
Yeah. So if you've got a great story that you would like to tell me, I think Jason's here to tell you how you can send me your entrepreneurial story.
If you have a great entrepreneurial story and would like to share with Kerry, you can send a brief bio to questions@upyourbusiness.org. That's questions with an S at upyourbusiness.org. Message on flagandbanners.com Facebook page, or make a comment on our blog.
That's it. And last, to our listeners, thank you for spending time with us. If you think this program's been about you, you're right, but it's also been for us. And it's also been what kind of a program today, did you say at the very beginning?
Merit reduction.
It's also been a merit reduction program today. Thank you for letting us fulfill our destiny. Our hope today is that you've heard or learned something that's been inspiring or enlightening, and that whatever it is, will help you up your business, your independence, or your life. I'm Kerry McCoy, and I'll see you next time on Up in Your Business. Until then, be brave and keep it up.
You've been listening to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy, a production of flagandbanner.com. If you miss any part of this show or want to learn more about UIYB, go to flagandbanner.com and click on Radio Show, or subscribe to her weekly podcast wherever you like to listen. All interviews are recorded and posted the following week with links to resources you heard discussed on today's show. Kerry's goal is to help you live the American dream.